All right, if you're not familiar with attachment style, it's simply the theory that your relationship with your early childhood caregivers sets the stage for how you relate in your relationships as an adult. I've done a whole video on the 4 attachment styles. You can check that out if you want to get some foundation. In this video, I want to talk about specifically the avoidant attachment style. And I want to give you 7 triggers for those with avoidant attachment style so that if you're in a relationship with them, you can recognize some things that might cause them to pull back and withdraw. And if you're the person that has an avoidant attachment style, hopefully understanding these triggers can help you recognize what's going on in you in the relationship so you can put an end to these and step into closeness and intimacy required for a relationship that may not be comfortable for you or normal for you. So that's what we're going to talk about today on Relation Shots. Hey, welcome to Relation Shots. My name is Eric Wooten. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome to the place to get practical relationship advice that actually works in your relationship. If you have not already done so, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any upcoming videos. If you want a free guide to intimacy, you'll see a link in the description area below. If you're a married couple and you do not have access to resources or community, I promise you the Altered Marriage Membership Community is where you need to be. This will be a place you can strengthen your relationship, or if you're in a bad place, you can get out of that bad place with access to resources, videos, worksheets. We do live Zoom calls with myself, relationship experts, and much more. You can check that out as well. So, avoidant attachment style is one of the 4 attachment styles that people develop based on their childhood. And so in this video, I want to highlight 7 triggers that can cause somebody with avoidant attachment style to pull back and not connect in the relationship. And so if you're in a relationship with somebody who has the avoidant attachment style, it can be frustrating and confusing at times because it can feel like an emotional roller coaster where at one moment you feel like you're drawing closer, there's connection, there's the kind of intimacy you want, and the next thing you know, they're pushing back, pulling away, and you don't know what's going on. So I want to highlight 7 triggers that can help you better understand what may be going on or maybe what you're doing that causes them to pull back. And then if you're the person with an avoidant attachment style, knowing these triggers can help you recognize what's going on inside of you and in the relationship, and that'll allow you to recognize it for what it is and actually step into the relationship than normal tendency of just going, you know what, I'm going to step out of this thing. So 7 triggers for avoidant attachment style. Number 1 is being criticized by somebody you love. Now remember, their tendency in avoidant attachment style is not to be close to somebody. They kind of avoid intimacy. They like freedom and independence. And so when they finally get to a place where they're going to open up and step towards somebody, when that somebody is critical of them, that causes them to pull back and go, this is exactly why I don't open up and step into the relationship. So being criticized by somebody you love. Number 2 trigger is demanding something from them. Now the key word here is demand. Now you can appeal, you can ask for, you can request something that you desire in a relationship. That's great. But the moment that you demand the things that you think you need or desire, you demanding it is going to cause them to turn and go the opposite way, saying, this is why I don't get in a relationship, because then there becomes all these expectations and demands, and I'm going to step back now. Number 3, having to depend on somebody. Remember, they value independence and freedom. The last thing they want to do is have to depend on somebody for something. But if they find themselves at a season in life or in the relationship where they actually have to depend on the other person, the last thing you want to do is use their need of you as a way of manipulation somewhere down the road, kind of like a you owe me because you remember when you needed me and I helped you out. And I promise you, the moment that you use their need for you against them or a way to manipulate or try to even the score down the road will be the last time they ever depend on you for something in the relationship. So just know, it's hard for them to depend on another person. So if they depend on you for something, 1, you better show up and show that you're dependable. And 2, don't throw it back in their face again down the road. All that's going to do is make them go, note to self, never depend on that person for anything else ever in the relationship. Number 4 is a partner wanting too much closeness. Remember, they're not all about closeness. They're a little uncomfortable with closeness. And so if they have a partner who keeps pushing and pushing and pushing for closeness over, they're going to feel like that other person is needy. They're going to feel like they're clingy. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is just too much pressure in the relationship. I can't handle it. So if you're pushing for too much closeness at a level they're not comfortable with or too fast, that's going to trigger them and make them pull away. Number 5 is being judged for being emotional. Now remember, their tendency is not to be emotional. But if you want to have a healthy relationship and emotional intimacy, we do need to share vulnerable parts of ourselves. We do need to be emotional. We do need to open up in a relationship. But that's very hard for them. They're not comfortable with that. So if they get to a place where they're getting comfortable and they actually open up and are emotional, if you judge their emotional vulnerability or availability, then guess what they're going to do? They're going to shut that part of them down again. They're going to go, okay, I need to figure out how to relate in this relationship in a safe way where I don't divulge too much of myself. I'm not too vulnerable. I'm not too dependent on them because they've been judged for actually being emotional. So if you want them to be emotional, it's going to take time for them to open up. And the moment you judge them for being emotional is the moment they'll decide, I'm never going to be emotional again in this relationship. Number 6 is a partner becoming too emotionally open. You may say to yourself, there's no such thing. If you're the kind of person that just is naturally open emotionally, that's great. And that's great for somebody else who's secure or may not have this avoidant attachment style. But for somebody with an avoidant attachment style, that can be a little intimidating because the expectation in relationship is that we reciprocate levels of openness. So if one person is open, the expectation is the other person will be equally open. That's how healthy relationships grow, right? That we reciprocate levels of openness. But for a person who is not comfortable with openness, having a partner that is too quick and too open emotionally can feel like so much pressure that they go, I don't know if I can keep up with this person. This is too much. I don't know how to handle all this stuff. I feel like they're becoming dependent on me and I'm not ready for that. So slow play your emotional openness and maybe even communicate to them, hey, this is kind of how I am, but it's not my expectation that you would fully reciprocate. Communicate back with me to the level that you might be comfortable with, not feeling like you have to exactly match my level of openness in the relationship. And number 7 trigger is a relationship that takes up too much time. Now remember, they value independence and they value freedom. So at some point, if the other person they're in a relationship with is always begging for their time or trying to get their time or feels like we got to see each other every night or we got to do this every weekend or we got to spend all our waking hours together, at some point they're going to begin to count the cost of this relationship and they may decide, you know what, this relationship is not for me because this person is demanding way too much of my time. I don't know if I can give that, and I start feeling like I'm being suffocated. So I need a little bit of time here. And so a partner who wants too much of their time, they're going to begin to evaluate that and go, I don't know if that's for me. So there's 7 triggers that if a person with avoidant attachment style experiences these, probably what's going to happen next is they're going to begin to push back a little, withdraw a little. Maybe they'll get busy with work or hobbies because they don't want to really deal with their feelings in the moment. But you're going to notice there's a little bit of a disconnection. So if you're noticing that, what do you do if you're in a relationship with that person? Hey, listen, give them space and understand they may need to just back off for a little bit. Then maybe ask them, what do they desire and what do they not desire from you in the relationship? Because what you desire and what they desire may be different. And then understand, listen, if you're a person that desires closeness and intimacy, you need to understand that your desire for closeness and intimacy is just as important as their desire for independence and freedom and space. So don't think that your desire is more important than theirs. Their desire for freedom, space, independence is just as important to them as your connection intimacy is for you. So there's 7 triggers. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've experienced this in a relationship, or if you're the person with an avoidant attachment style and you go, yes, those things trigger me. Drop a comment. Let's have a discussion about it below. If we can help you in any area of your relationship, there's a ton of links in the description area below, whether you're dating, whether you're married. We'd love to help you in your relationship journey, so check those out. And until next time, I'll see you right back here on Relation Shots.